It's that time of the year again. Obviously, a bit of a different video today where we won't be playing games, but it was important for me to do this reflection video, given that it was a big year of change for the channel. Some of it worked well, some of it not so much. I'm also making this video for everyone out there who is considering becoming a content creator so that you can learn, from my mistakes, from my process, see actual analytics and financials. So let's dive right in. First of all, as I said, this was a big year of change. I think there is 3 big topics here. The first one is that I moved to almost 1 video per day. I know this is a lot and most people out there will tell you this is too much. I think in gaming, in Let's Plays, that maybe not too much. In many other content, forms or niches, it's definitely way too much. Then the second is we moved from only Anno 1800, right? Pretty much only Anno 1800. We had done a few other games before this year, but it was really focused on Anno 1800 to a really broader scopes. And then third is we used to also do a bit of everything, right? I hadn't really formalized what type of content we were doing, to really trying to boil it down to a couple of different contents. I would say there is 5, not that we do all 5 equally, but there's 5. The first one, that is the major one, is the Let's Play guide, right? I'm not just playing silently, but I do my best to show you how to master and beat each game through edited gameplay. That's the bread and butter of the channel, right? It is, by the way, again, not really what you should be focusing on if you want to be super successful on YouTube, but that's what I like to do. The second is game reviews, right? After I complete a game, usually, I tell you if I feel you should buy it or not, from early access game to full releases. Then the third, sort of related, is usually similarly after finishing a game, I usually do a top 10 tips video, especially if I think that the game is a bit complex and I think I learned a lot. Then fourth, that I used to not do that much and now I'm trying to do a lot more, and in particular because now I'm getting a lot more keys for free. This is not sponsored, but I'm getting a key to test the game. So that gives me the opportunity on number 4 to do a lot more game discoveries. This is both for demos, for indie games, for new games, right? I just play it for 1 or 2 episodes, 1 or 2 hours, and I show you what I think about it, right? Without doing a full demo or full review. And then fifth, that we haven't done so much, even if when we look at the analytics, there's some interesting things going on there, is live streams. I know I haven't been really consistent because frankly, from a personal point of view, it's very hard to be consistent for me on live stream, given that, this is not my full-time job. This is just a passion outside of my work and my family, of course. But I do hope to do a bit more live stream in the future. So don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you do like that. So again, that was the big 3 changes. Doing almost 1 video per day, having a focus move from just Anno 1800 to a lot more games, which comes with a lot of challenges. We'll talk about this. And then third is trying to nail down what type of content you can see on the channel. And interestingly, you'll see that those 3 big changes impacted everything from the views to the subscriber growth to my financial, of course. But also one really interesting thing for me was, as I mentioned before, the free keys. Up to 2023, I was barely getting any free keys. I had to buy every single game myself with my own money to be able to play them. Now, these days, for many games that are indie, that are early access, I get a free key. Usually it's more on release. It's not like I get it early like most of the big YouTubers that are able to play it early. Usually I get it more on release, but still I get a free key which enables me, without spending a lot of my money, to show you many games. So that has, as I said before, enabled me to do a lot more game discoveries, and I'm planning to continue to do that. I think it's really great. And so if there's anybody out there that is part of game development or those marketing firms that support, don't hesitate to continue sending them. I think that's really valuable. And in particular, one thing that I've started to also add this year that I'm hoping to get more in the future is to get not just 1 key, but 2 or 3, so that I can have 1 for me to test it and then 1 or 2 to give away to all of you as viewers. I think that would be great to continue doing more of it. Then before we get into the analytics, let's review a bit the content, because as I said, there has been a lot of different content on 2024. I mean, you can see there is 3 pages already of playlists, and it's playlists that do start with Anno 1800, right? If we look at January 2024, so really 1 year ago, basically, we did have two very important, and we'll see very important in terms both of the content, but also in the analytics, Anno 1800 campaigns. There was one where I showed you all of the perfect layouts for stamps, right? That was a big game changer for the game at that point. And then we use this to do a new campaign, right? The campaign of Anno 1800 in expert difficulty. So that was two great, Anno 1800 playlist, but that was the only Anno 1800 that we did in the year. That's crazy, I know, because before there was any Anno 1800 everywhere, but that year this was the only one. This is not going to be the end of Anno 1800 though, because I'm definitely actually planning right now, currently, I've started to lay down, and I haven't recorded yet, but it should start next week, a new Anno 1800 campaign, so stay tuned for this. But then, yeah, after this, we started moving into a lot of new things. We had New Cycle, for example. That was Anno meets Frostpunk. It was a bit disappointed at the end. The beginning was great of this game. The end was a bit tough. But they've just made a new update, and they're hoping to make another one soon. So we'll probably go back into this one. Stronghold Definitive Edition, Builders of Greece, Last Train Home, which was also a bit something different. It wasn't really city building, it was more real-time strategy, so it didn't work that well, right? And again, we go into what I said before, when you expand outside of your core, right? My core was Anno 1800. All of my subscribers were Anno 1800. So you start expanding, this becomes difficult, right? Because YouTube doesn't know what you're doing now. It's going to send those videos to your subscribers that only like Anno 1800 or something similar, and so they're not gonna click on it, or they're gonna watch the beginning and then stop. And so obviously that gives bad signals to YouTube, right? And they think you're making bad content. So that is what's really tough about expanding out of when you've been focusing on really something. But anyway, we continue moving forward, right? We had Les Sarah's Unique Kingdom, which is another great early access game, which, by the way, we're gonna do an update video very soon on too. We had Captain of Industry, that was not our first one on this one, and that was a great one. Republic of Pirates, Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. Then Satisfactory Update 8, that was my second Satisfactory series, and definitely a big one because we went from start to finish. So that was, September? No, that was the last update. Sorry, last update was September, but it was started way before that, yes. Anno 2205, we had the New Frontier mod from Taludas, which, by the way, Taludas just made another mod for Anno 1800 that we're gonna check out for sure. We had then Memoriapolis, another great early access. The Crust, another early access that started really great. At the end was a bit tough, but it was not. I'm looking forward to the version 1, let's say, of this one. Game discoveries, as I said, right, we're doing quite a few of these. Against the Storm, Thrive, Evil as the Crown, Citadelum, Industry Giant, many guides, right, and game reviews that you can see over here. Diplomacy is not an option. Shapes 2 that we just started, but don't worry, I'm gonna finish that one. It's a really great one. And then Satisfactory version 1 with Fixmas for Satisfactory 2. So a lot of different games, especially if you count, the game reviews, there's very different things, or also the game discoveries. So really proud that we were able to expand, even if it is not easy. As I said, it's really not easy for the analytics. So let's dive into the analytics, because I promised it, so I'm going to show you many things. Don't hesitate, of course, to also ask me questions in the comments below. But yeah, in terms of analytics, I think the good thing is the views were similar. I mean, it's good in the sense that we didn't go down. It's not great in the sense that in something like YouTube, right, you're supposed to grow. You want to grow, especially, I mean, at my size, and big enough, to get some revenues. But as we will see when we go to the revenues, it's definitely not big enough to make a living out of it, right? So we need to grow, and we haven't really been growing that much in terms of views, but at least we haven't been going down. So that's something. And in particular, as I was saying, because we move from, we have a clear base, right? Anno 1800, there's more content, there's new seasons of content, right? So there's new things. And so it was easy to make new content, to a point where Anno 1800 development is basically done, so there's no new content, so what do we do, right? And there's many people I know that have been struggling in that space, right, for Anno 1800 or for other games. When your game stops having new updates, what do you do? And it's really not easy with the algorithm. But again, we managed to at least stay consistent, so that is something. We increased a bit our impressions, that's not gonna change. Our impression click-through rate, is not that high. Like 4% is not that high. You definitely would want to be higher. But to be honest, we go back to the point that, let's plays videos on YouTube, this is not what's going to give you, Mr. Beast type view or subscriber. We're never going to get 20% impression click-through rate. At the same time, if we could improve it, that'd be great. One thing quite interesting is over here is how do people find your videos? You have the YouTube search. This is really when people will go into YouTube and say, for example, okay, how to beat this game, right? Or top tips for this game, and then they find me. So that is, interesting because that really shows that I think some things like my game reviews, my top tip videos, they will probably work. And I think also a lot of the stamp videos that we did for Annos, right? I think that's where a lot of traffic came through. So that is good. Then there is a browse, right? So that counts, I think, a lot from the subscribers, right? The subscribers, they see on their homepage, on their browsing, okay, there's a new video from me, so they go on it, right? Versus then you have external. So external is going to be things like Reddit, which I used to do quite a bit, and I've stopped because honestly I feel like Reddit is so negative. Every time I post something, everybody is always like so negative about it. I've stopped doing it, but external, I guess that's mostly those places. I'm not sure. It could be also Google, I guess. Because I don't think Google would count into YouTube search. I think it would count into external. Then we have the playlist, right? This is where the Let's Plays, right? Because every Let's Play, I make a playlist out of it, and I tell people to go into the playlist. So that thing, I think, goes. And then suggested video is an important one, right? Because actually the algorithm really likes this. If people watch one of your video, and then at the end, they see we suggest, YouTube suggests you should watch this one, and they click on it, and it's one of your other video, right? It keeps them in your channel, it keeps them on YouTube. This is retention, this is good for YouTube. So getting that number higher even would be even greater. In terms of the big video for the years, and let's look at it over here, right? We have the top videos and some details about them. You can see the perfect stamps for the old world. I took a long time to make that one. It was actually made in 2023, but in 2024, this is still my best video. And this is again linked to the point of we used to be focused only on Anno 1800, so a lot of people came here for that, and still is the case. But yeah, you can see, we're talking about 35,000 views just for 2024. I think in total that video is now at 60 something, so definitely really a great one. There is more Anno on kind of how to, right? How to use stamps, how to install mods. And then this one is a 2024. This is the ultimate guide for Captain of Industry. Interestingly, I think this is one of the videos this year that didn't get the best like ratio, because many people felt I was speaking too quickly because I was trying to get basically a very short condensed video. But yeah, that still is, more than 10,000 views. So that's pretty good. More Captain of Industries, but this is a very old one, as you can see, still relevant. If you make good content for a game that is still being played, you're still gonna get views. That's what's really great about YouTube. So you can see in the top 10, there is definitely still a lot of Anno, but if you go down, there is already Captain of Industry, but there's also Satisfactory that starts being there more and more, more Satisfactory, and also some other things, right? We have Cartel Tycoon, for example, over here. We have Industry Giant, right? More and more of those other games are coming, cropping over there. Let's talk a bit about the subscribers, because that hasn't been the greatest story this year. And first of all, something that is classic in most channels, but still worth noting, and not worth trying to change, is that most people watching are not subscribed. Right? You can see over here that the subscribers account for around 7% of the views, 10% of the watch time, so that's not too bad, but yeah, only 7% of the views, and everybody else is not subscribed. When I say subscriber hasn't been a great story this year, is because as you can see, our subscriber count has grown, plus 1,100 for the year, but it's 30% less than last year. Right, so again, to the story of growth, this is not the story of growth on subscriber. It's not the end of the world in the sense that subscribers actually are not, they're not directly linked to anything, right? They're not linked to your revenues or anything like this. The revenues is linked directly to the views and the watch time and those type of things, not to subscribers. But subscribers are still important for a couple of points, right? First of all, there are sort of subscriber milestones that really matter, especially for sponsors, both to get keys, but also even to get sponsorship, right? There are things like 50K, 100,000K, 200,000, 1 million subscribers, right? These are milestones for those sponsors. But the second is that, as I mentioned before, the algorithm, the way it works is that usually a lot of your content is going to be shown first to your subscribers, and if your subscribers like it, it's going to be then expanded to more and more people, and if your subscribers don't like it, it's not going to be shown to more and more people usually. So it's actually important to have, you know, a lot of subscribers, to have a lot of impressions, but it's actually important also to have good subscribers, in the sense that it's subscribers that like the type of content that you're making. And this is where, again, the shift happen, right? All of my subscribers in the past only liked Anno. You start making less of Anno, and you have that shift over here that you have to be careful. But yeah, I think we're making progress into that direction. And by the way, as I said again, we will have some Anno 1800 next year, definitely more than this year. Plus, we're gonna have Anno 117, right? The new Anno game that's going to be released next year in 2025. So I know that this is gonna be a good year for Anno, but I also do want to continue making sure we have more than just that. And then last but not least, as I promised, let's look at the actual revenues. The good thing is that my revenue has been pretty stable for the year. As you can see, even for the months over here, right, each month is pretty similar. The bad thing is, as I said, for everything else, is it's not growing that much. And the other bad thing is that it's definitely not enough to make a living, right? I mean, we're talking about $1,368.75 before tax, right? It is before tax. You will have to pay tax, like everything in life. And this is for the full year, right? It's not for a month. So in most of the, you know, developed countries, most of Europe in particular, this is less than the minimum salary for a month that any company has to pay you. So yeah, it's probably not enough in most countries of the world, and yeah, definitely not for my wife right now. But it is, I'm not complaining, right? I'm not saying this to complain, especially to all of my viewers out there. You know, you're amazing, and this is all thanks to you. I'm just stating the facts that, right, I'm not stopping my job tomorrow because of this. But you can see, you know, where it's coming from. I mean, obviously, this is mostly from the watch page. We do have membership. We started this year to have membership. We have a couple of members that has been going up and down, to be honest. I'm not too sure why, because I'm trying to really give to the members always things like early access to videos and things like this. But yeah, we have membership. And then I did a couple of shorts earlier this year with Hogwarts Legacy in particular. It was a bit of a test, didn't really work. I don't think we're gonna do that much. And live also, you know, we did a couple, and you can see it's not that bad because we didn't do that many, and we still got $10 on this. But yeah, the main thing is definitely, you know, the watch page ads. It obviously doesn't account for any sponsorship I may have gotten or other revenues outside. But to be honest, I'm not really getting any. As I said, we are starting to get quite a few free keys, but I haven't gotten a single sponsorship for games. We did have earlier this year Instant Gaming that sponsored the channel for a month, and that was great, but that was just for a month. And, you know, this is not the kind of sponsorship that also is going to change completely those numbers over here. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what more to say. I mean, obviously, yeah, you can see the RPM, right? The revenue for 1,000 views is around 2.55. It goes back to my earlier point of, if you really want to be, you know, super rich and successful on YouTube, don't do let's play videos, don't do gaming even. Don't be a male. Like, there's many things I could tell you, but I'm not gonna change this. I mean, for me, this is a lot more of a passion than trying, you know, to break the internet or anything like this. But still, I felt it was important, you know, to reflect on all of this and stay tuned, because in a couple of days I will share another kind of follow-up video, which will be my 2025 plans based on those learnings, based also on what's happening. Like, as I said, we have, for example, the next Anno game that's coming out. Obviously, that's gonna be important. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, I do want to once again thank you all that have been watching, that are subscriber or not, and if you're not, maybe subscribe, that have been liking the videos, because that definitely helps also to get more impressions, and yeah, commenting, helping me with feedback. Everybody out there, you've been amazing. In particular, the people on the screen right now that are the current members, you know, on YouTube or on Patreon. Thank you. Please smash this video, and I hope to see you next time.